Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we discuss day to day problems people face in their lives. Let's start with the video.
My girlfriend, who has been refusing to meet my mother for many years, finally agrees, and my mother's reaction leads me to immediately break up with her when she finally told me this. My girlfriend and I, who have been in a relationship for over 2.5 years now, have experienced just about every possible angle and explored everything about each other that you would expect the average couple to go through as they progress through building their relationship. I went to her parents' home and got introduced to both of them and realized just how much of a pleasure they were to be around. And though I was thankful that they were the ones that raised my wife, I was torn and saddened by the fact that they were sick and that I wouldn't be able to toss my kids in their direction and ask them to take good care of them while I run off building some empire and fulfill whatever goals my wife or a girlfriend and I have built over the years. She, on the other hand, had never met my mother, and that was partially because my mom lives in a different country, and flying over has never been something we planned together, and meeting the parents was a step that wasn't really worth all the money we would be spending on a trip for the two of us to and from my country, when we were both struggling financially and doing our best to make ends meet and save up and try to improve our financial states and all that good stuff that you would usually consider a couple to be moving in a good, steady, and healthy direction for considering and fulfilling. Now, looking back at it, even knowing how things ended up going, I can't really spot a point in time in which I felt like her expression of wanting to save meeting my mother till later on in our relationship to the fact that it would be too inconvenient for the two of us and our relationship was far more sinister than for it to be attached to whether my girlfriend would be capable of getting along with my mother or not. And since she was very easygoing and somebody that everybody loved, I didn't have a single doubt in my mind that my mother would like her. And actually, it's kind of ironic, but that's what ended up happening in being the case, even after all, and probably the reason I'm writing the story in the first place. The way it happened was that Christmas was right around the corner, and I was talking to my girlfriend about how much I had always wanted to introduce a girlfriend in Christmas dinner. It's set up to be catastrophic in such a way that it would have to end up being a memorable and unforgettable memory. I then suggested that my girlfriend comes with me to meet my family and went on and on about how much it would mean to me if she meets me halfway and agrees to do this basically in return for me being a good cooperative boyfriend to her the entirety of our relationship. My intentions were never for me to do things so I can use them against her or do stuff expecting things in return. But I was genuinely growing a little bit suspicious about the fact that she knew who everyone in my family was, and nobody knew a single damn thing about her because she was always so secretive when it came to interacting with them. I kept a cold shoulder and a sassy attitude for the rest of our time together that day, and she ended up greeting it literally as we were going to sleep. The following morning, I could see that she somewhat regretted the decision to meet my family and was insinuating through her gestures that she'd be more than happy for me to suggest that she does otherwise. I obviously had no intentions of doing that, as I was considering proposing to her, and this was an essential step that our relationship needs to complete in order for us to take such a massive leap. We gathered at our family home that day, and I could feel the floor sinking from beneath me as the hours passed and my girlfriend was yet to be found. My mother was asking and confirming time and time again if she was actually showing up or if I had just told everyone that she was to shut them up about it. Things were really growing awkward, and I was waiting for my girlfriend to show up so I could annoy her ace to death for making me tolerate my family for something unnecessarily awkward. That was my intention, anyways. As I waited at the dinner table and had hope lingering within me that she would show up, since she was never of the habit of breaking her promises, I was certain that I would bust her ace until the moment I heard the bell go off, and I knew in my gut that it was actually her. So I rushed over to the door, ready to bully her to death for leaving me on hold all night long. But once I opened the door, I saw how glamorous and fabulous and beautiful she looked, and that thought immediately slipped off my mind. A smile plattered itself across myself and found myself gazing at her godly presence like a love struck puppy. I welcomed her in, excited to show her to my family and introduce her to my parents. The moment she and my mom made eye contact, I realized that that fantasy wouldn't be upon us anytime soon. I realized that I had probably triggered something that I shouldn't have, and I was then placed in a state of ultimate confusion and displeasure. As my mother and girlfriend exchanged displeased glances of recognition, and my father looked somewhat puzzled but brushed it off, a remark that probably lasted no more than a couple of seconds altered the aftermath of my relationship forever. I tried brushing off the firm handshake my mother gave to my girlfriend and the awkward but grilling questions she didn't spare her while we dined. I tried brushing off all the things my anxious mind was registering for the sake of allowing myself to live up to that fantasy expectation of mine. But the moment my mother requested to speak to her in private, I knew that there was definitely something to investigate, and I was going to grill my girlfriend next the moment we got home. Although I didn't think anything could have prepared me for what was to come next, I didn't think any amount of overthinking or anxiety would have spared me the utter shock I was struck by once I was finally granted words of explanation from my girlfriend that immediately spewed out everything when we got home without me even asking. She confessed to me that her and my mother recognized one another for reasons that might come to my shock. When she said that, I thought that maybe she was the daughter of a friend that betrayed my mother, as I knew there was a woman my mother hated passionately since high school days. I thought that there was some reason for the two of them to connect with in the past, and that's the extent to which my brain was able to guess and ponder in the short few moments of silence leading up to my girlfriend finally telling me that she wasn't the daughter of my friend. She wasn't even my mother's friend, which would have already been messed up as is. I knew that she was a few years older than me, but she didn't really look that much older. I didn't think anything of things. I didn't think anything could have prepared me for her telling me that she was one of my mother's teachers at university. She taught cellular biology at my mother's university, and my mom happened to be one of her students during the first couple of years. Now, the reason you need to understand why I was frustrated enough to break up the relationship was that we had previously discussed her age, even though it was an awkward topic to discuss, since she seemed a bit insecure about dating someone that was somewhat obviously younger than her. She never once told me that she was over 15 years older than me, as she always told me she was no more than 5 or so older. It came to my absolute shock and terror that she would keep something like this from me for so long, and even knowing my mother's identity and trying to keep from meeting my family. Not because she was shy, but because she was scared for all the wrong reasons, for the reason of fearing that her identity would be exposed. I broke up with her immediately that night and told her to never ever make contact with me. I promised her that if she kept lying so drastically about her age, that every guy she would be with would leave her, not because she was older, but because she's a nasty, filthy effing liar. Not the a-hole. If she was so insecure about her age and terrified of sharing it with the people she's dating, going after guys her age would rid her of that worry. So, unless she's a kinky predator, she'd opt for doing that in the future. You're the a-hole. Why do you feel so entitled to minimize a woman's insecurities about her age? I guess I get that her dramatizing how small the age gap was a diary move, but at any granted moment in the relationship, you could have confirmed or asked her point blank if that was that big of a deal to you. Not the a-hole. There is literally no way that you weren't able to tell she's 15 years older. But that could be because she got surgeries or is genetically privileged. To lie about one's age is something that's bound to be exposed, especially in a relationship as serious as yours. Next story. I, male 21, went to my girlfriend's, 21, family's house during winter break. I've been dating her for 3 years, so it was only fair that they finally met me in person. My parents were not happy about this. I told them it's only fair, since my girlfriend didn't go home for Thanksgiving break and stayed with us. They didn't listen and pretty much gave me the cold shoulder. They were rude when we visited 2 weeks ago, and told me that if it'd be better if I found my own place right after college. I tried arguing with them, and I told them my sister got to stay for 3 years after graduation. Then I told them that if they didn't want me at home, they could just tell me straight up. Well, last week in a family group chat, my aunt sent a picture of a save the date for my sister's wedding. I figured that they didn't send me one because I'm her brother, and that I didn't need one. I texted her about it and she told me to ask mom and dad why I didn't get one. Apparently, they told me I'm not invited because I don't value our family's time together. They also told me I disappointed everyone in the family. I lost it and told them to F right off. I skipped one Christmas and that I'm not coming home ever if this is how you're going to react. I then texted them after some arguing, don't ever contact me again. My aunt and uncle told me I'm being way too harsh and I should apologize. So, am I the a hole? Edit. I'm going to answer some questions here. My sister didn't invite me because my parents are paying for part of her wedding. I'm not financially dependent on them right now. I'm on scholarship and pay for other expenses through stuff like door dashing. Also, I wasn't planning on living with my parents for long after college, just until I was able to settle down with a permanent job. Update. Me and my sister had an hour-long phone call. She was very emotional and told me how she's so sorry about everything and how she knew that when they were kids that they always favored her, but she never said anything. She told me how she knew I was going through a lot as a kid and she never tried to help. She then told me that I'm absolutely invited to the wedding. She offered to let me live with them if I need to after I graduate, that she's on my side in this whole thing. Dang. I'm going with not the a-hole. Not inviting you to your sister's wedding is what did it for me. They want all or nothing, and that does not work. You're no longer a child and in a committed relationship. Your partner comes first. If you and your family do end up communicating, you're going to want to set up some strict boundaries as they will try and take this out on your girlfriend. Not the a-hole. They absolutely need to apologize. How dare they? Are they seriously expecting that you always spend Christmas with them? Aren't they happy that you found a girlfriend who has a close family? Do they really believe they hold the monopoly? Find somewhere else to live. Don't be blackmailed by these control freaks. A terrible, terrible way for grown adults to behave. I cannot believe the wedding invite scenario. Despicable behavior. I'd be glad to be shot by this family myself. Not the a-hole. If I'm being honest, I know you're probably really hurting right now, but you're dodging a bullet that this is happening now. Clearly, very few, if anyone, have drawn boundaries with your parents. What you're dealing with now is the product of that. Your parents have likely been able to get their way by this over the top behavior for far too long. Good for you. They will put you through hell if you bend to their whims now. They'll know they just need to be wildly dramatic and then problem solved. Next story. So, my 25 female, older brother 28 male, and his boyfriend 26 male have been dating for like 4 or 5 years now, and recently my brother proposed. Everyone has been super supportive and happy for them. My parents are over the moon and excited for the first of their children's weddings. And I'm also really happy for my brother. But there's one thing that bothered me. My brother pays for everything. He is constantly surprising his boyfriend with gifts. He always pays for their dates or meals when they go out. I've brought it up before, and my boyfriend says he doesn't mind, that our family has more money than most, and that he likes treating his boyfriend. His boyfriend does work and does the cooking and keeps their house, which my brother bought, by the way, clean. But that's nothing compared to what he's getting in return. My brother also vaguely explained that there is this dynamic to it. He doesn't really want to talk about it with me, which I don't really get, and the whole situation still looks like my brother is getting exploited. Last night, my family went out for a celebratory dinner for the engagement. While we were there, my brother started showing them the ring and shared plans for what they would want at the wedding. Then the bill came. We split it. My parents paying for theirs and my youngest sister's, 16 female. Me and my boyfriend, 29 male, split ours. My siblings, 31 female, 23 male, 20 female, all paid for theirs. And like always, my brother paid for both his and his boyfriend. I joked and said that my brother should get a prenup. My brother told me that isn't funny. I said back that how with many gifts he's gotten him and how many things his boyfriend has his name on, it probably won't do much anyway. His boyfriend looked guilty and upset. My brother told me I was being super effing rude, and he and his boyfriend left. Most of my family are telling me I was out of line, though my older sister agrees with me that she thinks our brother is being exploited. There was probably a better scenario I could have brought that up in. So, am I the a hole? You're the a hole. I mean, super effing rude sums it up nicely. How many times does your brother have to tell you to stop talking about their financial dynamic before it sinks in? Learn to mind your business and stay out of his relationship. You're the a hole. Their finances are none of your business. And if you are genuinely concerned, an engagement party is not the place to publicly make your boyfriend's fiance feel ashamed. You could comment in private potentially instead. But honestly, sounds like you already have, and your brother is fine with their arrangement. Their financial dynamic is none of your business. Also, his boyfriend works and does the cooking and housekeeping on his own. It's fair enough he's not paying for going out then. Your brother seems to be happy with their dynamic. Otherwise, he wouldn't have proposed. This isn't your place to judge. You're the a hole. I'll be the one to break it to you. Their dynamic is probably a sugar daddy, sugar baby situation or something similar. In other words, your brother gets personal enjoyment from showering his fiancée with gifts and being a breadwinner, while his fiancée enjoys being showered with gifts and being a house husband. Nothing you've said implies it's a non consensual relationship in any way. Your brother sounds happy to have this dynamic. And even if there was some kind of an issue, that's their business, not yours. All you did was make the situation awkward for them and make his fiance feel guilty about it. And don't try to excuse it with the "it's just a joke" line. Literally everything you wrote before that about how you think he's exploiting your brother shows your true color and probably showed in the tone you used when you brought it up. No one heard that as "my brother showers you with so much gift. He must really love you" lighthearted joke. It 100% came across as a very snarky, haha, better take precaution in case he runs off with all the stuff he exploited out of you.